I welcome you and thank you for joining this session. My name is Sebastian Posth. I'm account manager and partner of a Berlin-based aggregator called A2 Electronic Publishing. Before that, I have worked for 2 years for VVA Avato, which is the book distributor for Bertelsmann and other major trade publishers, and I've been responsible for the development of the digital distribution for this Avato business. I'd like to talk today about current developments in setting standards for rights and licensing and sales metadata. To give you an overview, I'll will be talking about ebook publishing. I will be talking about metadata, the chain of title, by which I mean the information supply chain of digital rights and licensing information, and the information supply chain and the transfer of sales information. So, what I mean by information supply chain is actually 2 directions of digital information flow. One that is called the chain of title, that are information that go from the author or the agent basically to the retailer or the customer, of course via the publisher, the distributor or aggregator or a wholesaler. And the other way around, which is information of or the transfer of sales reports from the retailer via aggregator, distributor, publisher to the author. Of course, in between, things can get very complex. I mean, most of all these interrelations in ebook business you might have already seen or experienced. But what is it that makes this complexity in ebook publishing? And I start with a very trivial statement. Actually, ebook publishing is still a very new business with new business relations, new market participants and companies in this in the market, and we have to deal with new digital media and a new legal framework. And I'd mention the most important aspect of this change. If you have a look at print publishing, in the legal sense, you have the first sale doctrine. It's also as well called exhaustion principle, or in German Erschöpfungsgrundsatz, which basically means that the rights holder's rights ends once ownership of a physical copy has passed to someone else. So if you go in a bookstore and purchase a copy of a book, you can actually sell it, resell it, lend it, give it away, or do other different things with it. If you look at the ebook digital world, there is a chain of title, which means that you have actually a chain of successive and corresponding rights assignments that goes from the author to the publisher, to the distributor, to the wholesaler, to the retailer, until the customer. And if you think of this chain of title in these interrelations, what is needed is a very precise specification of rights information and professional rights and contract administration. But obviously, currently still we are dealing a lot with inappropriate software tools or inappropriate workflows that are basically optimized for print publishing. So dealing with that was, or it's quite a change to change software dealing with this new environment. And above, publishers are faced with new business demands and challenges in this new business. So in this context we are facing right now, dealing with right now, standards help very much. In fact, standards actually pay off because it can prevent mistakes, it can enhance efficiency and profitability, and it might allow for machine-readable processing of the information that I mentioned. Unfortunately, these standards cannot simply be prescribed. I mean, you can't just say something is a standard. Actually, it's a lot of work to get somewhere when dealing with standardization. A lot of work that basically is something like creating a structural framework for organizing these information, organizing these rights and licensing information or sales reporting information. That can be called ontology, which means defining a kind of language, a vocabulary for these information, and to provide detailed specification of these elements. I will give examples later on. What is interesting is that there have been, independently from each other, there have been two working groups having done a great job with standardizing these two directions of information flow. One is, and I will be talking about these two working groups. One is the Rights Committee's Communications Working Group of the BISG in the United States. And the other is a working group, AG Pro, of the German Booksellers, Publishers and Booksellers Association of the Börsenverein, where I have been involved over the last 2 years as well. But let me first start with what the BISG did in the Rights Committee's Communications Working Group. And I would explicitly like to thank Emily Williams, who provided most of the information to me to present it to you here in this presentation. What they have been working on, they called Rights Controlled Vocabulary. And it's the primary project of the BISG Rights Committee's Communications Working Group. In there have been representatives from publishers like Pearson, Random House, Hachette, Wiley, agencies like Curtis Brown and Sensible Solutions, and companies like the Copyright Clearance Center being strongly involved there, and companies like Nugent. And what they had, the Rights Committee's Communications Working Group focused was the problem of the communication of rights and licensing information. So if you have a look again to this rather complex environment. The first aim of this communications group was focus on this interrelation between the author or the agent, so the primary rights owner, and the publishers. But of course, it would be possible in the future to transfer it and expand it to other relations where contracts have information transferred from one participant or from one party to the other. So let's give an example what this is all about, and all what you can see in italics now can be of course interchanged or can be substituted by different entities. So if you have the following situation, that an author, it could be an editor or whatever, who holds the rights to an ebook, sells these rights to a publisher that may offer it for sale in a certain territory, German and language, so German language and Europe. The ebook is a full text with images and tables, aiming at a professionals market and aiming sales via educational institutions. The rights do not expire. The author is paid when units are sold. So if you have this situation, just as an example, you have to define the following. You have to define what is the rights holder, what is the status of the rights, who is the rights buyer, what language, what territory, what is the content, so what actually is an ebook, what we call ebook or content, which formats are we talking about, can we talk about formats or containers or whatever, what market, what sales channels, duration, payment terms, etc. So what BISG actually did was to identify these basic components of rights deals and offer a precise description of these components. And name it rights-controlled vocabulary, a vocabulary that is based on existing standards where possible. So, for instance, the ISO standard used for the territory and the language categories, and ONIX for books, product form lists that were mapped to the format categories. Why did they call it right, or do they call it rights-controlled vocabulary? They call it that way because it's not yet a standard, but it might develop to a standard. So that's what I mentioned earlier. You can't just say something is a standard when it's not used or taken and used and put into real-life situations by the market participants. And of course, the institutions that grant that this standard is a standard. I mean, next steps for BISG are 2 pilot projects. One is called Domestic Rights and Royalty Reporting, and the other is called International Rights and Royalty Reporting. Further information you will get on the BISG website. I would like to refer to the website, not to get too much into details right now. So the second working group I'd like to present to you now is the working group of the AG Pro, of the German Publishers and Booksellers Association, of the Börsenverein, a working group that basically deals with logistic problems that publishers, intermediaries, distributors are facing for print books, but also in the digital world right now. And what they had in the focus was the situation of reporting and the accounting of sales information for ebook sales of basically retailers that are reporting back to wholesalers, that are reporting back to distributors or aggregators or to the publishers directly. If you have a look at this screen again, then it's it can be different interrelations where sales are reported and further reported. So, for instance, from the aggregator to the publisher, or from the retailer to the publisher or distributor. So different relations are possible there. The first meeting the initial meeting of the working group AG Pro was basically not a top-down but a bottom-up movement, because the certain group of representatives of publishers and wholesalers and booksellers came together and said, to name them, some of them, publishers like Random House, Holzbrink Macmillan, distributors like Koch-Neff and VVA, Big Media, the company that I have worked for at this time. HGV is a distributor of Holzbrink and service provider for Holzbrink publishers, and me, or my current company, A2 Electronic Publishing. And wholesalers, shops like Libri and Ziando that were involved in this working group. And the issues that all of them gathered was that distributors or publishers are receiving individual proprietary Excel or CSV files from every retailer, even PDF files that sometimes report back the sales. And not only this, but you also get these reports sent via email. So you have to check your inbox, or downloadable via certain backends where you have to download a monthly report once you have been notified that it finally is there, whenever, or it reports being transferred via FTP. All of this possible, and the consequence of this heterogenic way of reporting is that, in fact, a lot of the accounting that needs to be done is done manually. So actually, it's quite a lot of work to do it, and any publisher will have its own experience, and distributor will have its own experience in this. Of course, you have related issues that are that are things that derive out of the accounting process itself, something like the royalty settlement. And at this, or at a certain point, this group of market participants said, I mean, we have to get somewhere and try to find a standard where we can all agree upon. But what was it that we wanted to agree? And I'd give an example for that, where also any italic word marked italic can be substituted. So if you have the following situation, like a retailer is reporting sales for a certain month to a publisher with whom he has an agency agreement, can be a reseller agreement, whatever. The title with the ISBN 4711 has been sold in a certain format, EPUB format, via a certain ebook shop. So a lot of white label stores out there. 47 times. The ebook was purchased for download by a German customer for a fixed retail price. We have to consider that we have book price fixing in Germany. For a fixed retail price of €9.99, including VAT 90% in Germany for ebooks. 2 cancellations in this month. Calculating the agreed discount, the amount due to publisher net. I mean, you have to define what is the amount due to publisher. It's really tricky. Then it remains whatever, €5.88. Plus the info whether sales shall be credited, So, or the retailer will be invoiced. That is a different kind of digital logistic behind it, with especially if you have to deal with complex accounting systems. This can be an issue. If you have this situation, then you have to define the following, and that, for instance, the sales period and date, seller, shop, publisher parties, product IDs, product formats, pricing details, discounts, amounts due to publishers, what is it, what is a monetary amount, currencies, codes, tax, VAT. And actually that is what this working group did. They identified the basic components of these sales reports and try to offer specification, a precise specification and a description of these components. Of course, not out of the blue, but based on existing standards. In this case, they took the Edit X XML sales report version 1.1 and had a close look at it and managed to define elements out of this version that has been provided by editor before. The results of these working groups are that Editech in Germany is already in use, especially by Holzbrink. They have done a quite a good job in bringing it into the market already, so it's been used there, and it's being further introduced to the market by Bertelsmann, Random House, VVA, so the distributor of Bertelsmann, and others that have committed to this standard. So the next steps will be, and then I come to a quick end of this short presentation. Last week, our next steps, it already has occurred. There has been a recommendation of the AG Pro, of the German Publishers and Booksellers Association, that basically says that AG Pro strongly recommends the use of Edit X XML for sales reporting for ebooks between all market participants, which is really a great first step. And now it will again, of course, need to go the way up to actually, there are currently talks with a standardizing organization, especially Editeur, that is done by Herr Jansen from Koch-Neff. He is involved in this, and GS1, standardizing organization that currently supports the EDI standard that is broadly used in physical supply chain and logistics. And of course, technical details need to be provided to the market. I'm thinking of an Edit X XML best practice guide or something like that. It's not quite sure yet what will be published in this. So actually, what I'm presenting to you is quite a very recent development. BASG has presented their first draft, I think 3 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and this actually the recommendation of the German Bookseller and Publishers Association has been presented last week. So this is really some kind of very recent but very promising development. As a summary, so the idea behind all these activities is to provide machine-readable standards for the communication of rights, sales informations, and that they are indispensable for the professionalization of the e-book market. And I wanted to present to you 2 examples for this recent development. Thank you very much.